Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Creative Fundraising for Senior Nutrition Programs. I have a few housekeeping items I just want to bring to your attention. First, please be sure and use the chat box for any thoughts, comments, and questions. There will be a time for Q&A at the end of the session today, and that's when we will address questions. Today's webinar is being recorded. You'll have access to the webinar recording and supporting documents located on our Nutrition and Aging Resource Center website, and you'll find that at www.acl.gov/senior-nutrition. I also want to make you aware that live captioning is available. If you go to the little three dots on your screen in your Teams app or browser window, you can enable live captions. You'll want to select, and I've seen this a couple different ways, you're ultimately looking for turn on live captions, but there could be an extra step in there where you need to select language and speech, but you can enable those live captions. And also, a certificate of attendance will be provided at the end of the presentation, and we will put that in the chat box. My name is Kathy Wilson Gold, and I'm one of the senior nutrition consultants for the Office of Nutrition and Health Promotion Programs at the Administration for Community Living, also known as ACL. ACL is a federal agency that aims to maximize the independence, well-being, and health of older adults, people with disabilities across the lifespan, and their families and caregivers. So let's get started. People over 65 are expected to represent 22% of the U.S. population by the year 2040. Successful senior nutrition programs of the future will seek diverse funding streams that include, but are not limited to, participant contributions and public funding like the Older Americans Act. Today, our dynamic speakers, Cristi Twenter and Joel Sekorski, they'll walk us through creative ways to sustain senior nutrition programs through fundraising efforts. But first, it's my pleasure to tell you just a little bit about them. Cristi Twenter joined Edmond Mobile Meals in December of 2013 and became the executive director in May 2016. Cristi has a BA in psychology from the University of Central Oklahoma and an MBA with high honors from Oklahoma City University. She uses her expertise in relationship building, public relations, fundraising, and client service to make Edmond Mobile Meals a model of community engagement. A recognized community leader, Cristi was named the 2022 Woman of the Year by the Edmond Chamber of Commerce and was selected as the honorary chairperson of the Edmond Women's Club Annual Gala, where she was a recipient of their award for service in the community. Our second speaker, Joel Sekorski, he serves as the Director of Services for the Elderly at the Sullivan Senior Center and the Litchfield Hills Northwest Elderly Nutrition Program in Torrington, Connecticut. In his role, Joel oversees staff and programs of the Elderly Services Department, including the Sullivan Senior Center, 18 home-delivered sites, 8 congregate senior lunch programs, along with many other older adult services. Joel is a culinary graduate, a past restaurant owner, and a chef who enjoys cooking for family and friends. He is active in his profession and community by serving on numerous boards and committees. See, I told you they were dynamic speakers. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cristi to kick us off.
Thanks, Kathy. Can everyone hear me okay? Kathy, give me a thumbs up if if sounds okay. Awesome.
Good.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate that wonderful introduction. You can go on to the next slide. Um, so I'm the executive director at Edmond Mobile Meals. We're the Meals on Wheels program for the Edmond, Oklahoma community. We are a suburban community of about 90,000 residents just outside of Oklahoma City. And we have about 16% of our current population is over the age of 65. Next slide, please. So we serve the people that a lot of you all serve as well, homebound senior citizens, individuals with chronic health issues who can't cook or shop for themselves, or who are rehabilitating from some type of illness or surgery. We serve, the qualifications for our program are simple. You have to live within our delivery area and be homebound. There's no age requirement or income requirement for our program. We serve about 275 average meals per day, Monday through Friday, with the option to receive weekend meals. We served over 64,000 meals last year to over 500 seniors. We cover 100 square miles a day here in Edmond with 17 delivery routes. About 40 volunteers a day to make that happen. We are a staff of 3, so we rely heavily on those volunteers, like I'm betting most of you do. And about 40% of our clients are unable to pay anything towards the cost of their meals, which leads to resource development and fundraising. Kathy, next slide. So we view fundraising a little bit differently. When we start talking about fundraising, a lot of our board members and volunteers are a little nervous and fearful, envisioning cold calling, people asking for money, that sort of thing. We have shifted to a viewpoint of resource development instead of fundraising. For us, fundraising is more of a short-term way to get revenue to do specific things within a year. From our perspective, resource development is looking forward. It's looking towards long-term partnerships and sustainability within the community. And so that means we have to focus on developing those long-term partnerships, and a lot of donor stewardship is what we focus on. We also focus on the why of what we do. We feel like our community knows what we do, but really, to be able to form these partnerships in the community, we want to tell them why we do it. So today I'm going to talk about just a few specific things, how we diversified our resources development strategies over the last years, a roadmap to help you do that, which will be in the chat. There will be a link to that resource in the chat, as well as building community relationships. Next slide. And Kathy, you can go ahead and bring all of these icons up if you'd like. So we have 8 buckets or categories of resource development that we focus on. We know that we can't put all of our eggs in one basket, especially now with what's happening in our economy, with the uncertainty about private donations and client contributions, as well as the volatility of public funding. So we very much focus on spreading it out across different areas so that we can be sustainable and meet the need for our services and for our clients. So with regard to grants, what we do is we focus very regionally and locally as opposed to nationally and federal funding for our grants. And it's all about the storytelling with grants. Again, telling the why, because there are a lot of funders out there. There are a lot of foundations. There are a lot of philanthropic corporations in this country who want to give your program money. You just have to tell them your why. Look for matching opportunities. There are some wonderful matching opportunities. We work with a foundation that they don't just give us the grant. We have to raise dollar for dollar the amount that we are asking for. And once we've done that, they match it. It requires just a little bit more effort on your part, but it really makes a difference when that number is doubled. Grant Station, if you don't use that, is a wonderful resources for opportunities for grants. If you get on their email list, they will send you a list. weekly at least of great opportunities that are in your area, in your wheelhouse, specific to seniors, senior hunger, senior programming that are regional, local, and national. So check that out. The other thing that I do that saves me a lot of time, because I imagine a lot of you are small staff like we are. I am wearing many hats. And a lot of the grants out there ask for very similar information. They're going to ask for your program description. They're going to ask for maybe a history, who you serve, what your outcome measures are. So at the beginning of every year, I create a template of a general grant narrative. And that saves me time when I'm going in there and plugging in all of those specific things. And I can customize it for each grantor and those that have like specific other requests, but I've already got the general narrative done. Private donations, what we found, we know that the economy causes a downturn in private donations. What we are seeing and what we are hearing on a national level is that the most important thing for you to do to be able to maximize the private donations in your organization or in your area is make it easy for people to donate. The old write a check and put it in the mail. There are still populations that do that, but Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, in a recent survey, the number one thing they said that drove them to make a donation was that it was easy. So check to see if you can have Cash App, Venmo, Apple Pay, QR codes, all of those things that make it easy for someone to either tap or just click a button and they've made that donation. So I really, really encourage you to do that, and make sure that on your touch points, on your communication points, make sure that you are telling your why again, not just your what. Events. I think a lot of people, when they come on and they start thinking about fundraising outside of public funding, they think, oh, we have to have a gala, we have to have a 5K, we have to have a golf tournament. It's all about the event. But I tell you what, events are costly, not only in terms of the cash cost to your organization for putting them on, but on time. At one point, we were having up to 3 events a year, and I became a full-time event planner. And it was very, very taxing. So we still have 1 event a year. And the important thing with this is to make the experience great, make it smooth for your attendees, and make it memorable so that they will come back again. The ROI on events can be difficult because people are coming to bid on a trip to Florida at your gala and have a great night, but they may not really be invested or engaged with your cause. The other thing that we're learning about events is that hybrid events are here to stay. So look at your events, or if you're planning an event, look at having a virtual 5K alongside your in-person 5K so that people can participate online. Have an online silent auction alongside your live auction. We have done that several times, and it really does maximize the participation for people who are not even wanting to get dressed up or attend your event, or in another location. Campaigns are really important to my organization because it allows us to customize and directly communicate with different categories of donors, and it allows us to establish a relationship that we are going to continue into the future. The ROI on a campaign, like an annual fund campaign, a monthly giving campaign, those type of things allow you to very specifically communicate your why with individual people. We have a donor tracking software that we use. I highly recommend that. It can simply be a spreadsheet, but maintain a database of people so that you can reach back out to them with your stewardship, and communicate in these different campaigns the impact of a single gift. We are very clear when we say $25 donation provides 1 week of meals for a senior. And that really speaks to people who can donate $25 a week or even $10. The next piece, community connections, I'm going to talk about that in depth here in just a few minutes, but it has become the most critical piece of our resource development at Edmond Mobile Meals. It is forming long-lasting partners within the community who share your values and your vision for your mission within the community. We talked about client contributions. You know, those can be tough, especially right now. If you have a program that requires, let's say, or asks for a flat $5 donation or a $2 donation, consider asking them to pay what they can. That's what we do at Edmond Mobile Meals when we enroll clients. And we have clients who pay anywhere from 50 cents a meal up to $5 a meal, depending upon their own situation. And then those 40% of clients who can't pay anything at all, we reach out in these other ways. Next, don't discount the value of in-kind donations, utilities, rent, things for your silent auction. All of those things help some of your expenses and are very valuable. Talk with your city, talk with your utility providers, and see if there's any opportunity there. And then the last piece could be its own hour-long presentation, but I'm going to cover it real quick. And that is investment. Do you have a cash policy? If you've got your 12 months or 18 months of expenses in the bank and you receive a $100,000 cash gift, what are you going to do with that money? Are you just going to put it into your operational fund? Or are you going to be able to find some place to invest it so that it can work for you? Specifically, an endowment fund. And the next slide will show you what I mean. You don't have to start your endowment fund big, but I think it's really important to have it be a piece of your strategic resource. All right, next slide, Kathy. So this is an actual snapshot of 4 different years of our budget. As you can see, it's from 2014, 2017, 2019, and 2023. I was not director in 2015. I became director in 2016. And so you can see the evolution of our priorities in terms of our budget. I just want to point out a couple of things, and you can go back and look at this, but you'll see as the economy takes a downturn, client contributions and private donations become a smaller piece of our puzzle because we know that that's probably the most volatile piece of it. And with our events, in 2014, it was almost a quarter of our entire operating budget. That's a full-time event planner. This year, it's 6%. We have one event, and we have offset that by our higher return on investment fundraising campaigns, but specifically our community connections, which is what we're going to talk about here in just a minute, has gone up to from nothing to 10%. And those are relationships that you don't have to work as hard for, you have to work differently for. And then at the end, I'd like to point out our investment interest income. That is 100% our endowment fund, and that will just keep going up and growing without us touching it. That is no effort funds, and we receive about 5% of our overall income now from just our endowment fund investment. Next slide, please. So we create each year a resource development roadmap, and it's not set in stone, it is flexible, but it gives us the tools that we need to know who, what, when, where, why in our 8 different categories of fundraising. And one of the things that we are very intentional about with regard to resource development is being very strategic when we recruit new board members. We tell them from day one that resource development is part of your job. That does not mean that you are going to be cold calling, asking people for money, but it does mean that you have a role in some way. Develop that cash and investment policy that I mentioned so that you, without a doubt, no matter who's on your board, no matter who's leading this campaign, if you have this overage of cash, you know what to do with it so that it can work for you. Create goals for each of these categories, not just dollar goals, but what do you want the success measure to be? Do you want it to be a certain percentage more of donations than last year, a certain number of new private donors, a new community connection, a new campaign? Be specific about those goals, and work with a team who champions who understand your organization that can help you reach those goals. Then you can be very specific and intentional about creating those why messages for each of those categories, because you're going to be talking to everybody just a little bit different. You're going to be talking with the people who are giving you grants differently than you are from the people who are sending you a private donation. Okay, next slide, Kathy, and we'll move through these next two pretty quick. These are hard to read on the screen. I apologize, but like I said, Catherine is going to drop them in the chat for you. It's just an Excel spreadsheet that outlines what I just told you. It's each section for each one that outlines what your goals are, who's responsible, what you do, and how much you expect to receive from that. And the key to this is that it's flexible. It's a roadmap. It's not set in stone. If you get 6 months into your year and you think there is no way that this is going to happen, you can get with your committee and you can revise it. Go on to the next slide, Kathy. The next slide is just another section. This is my campaigns, and it outlines what we're going to do for our campaigns. This was in 2020, our annual fund campaign, Giving Tuesday. Leverage those calendar dates that you can work on to get either matches or additional mileage. All right, Kathy, go on to the next slide. So in order to take the next step in developing your donor database and your relationships into community connections, you have to have donor stewardship. And that goes beyond writing an acknowledgement or sending an acknowledgement whenever you receive a donation. That's certainly the first step, and I'm sure that all of you do this without fail. No matter the amount of donation we get, it gets a letter in the mail in acknowledgement of the receipt. But you want to build relationships so that people want to come back and donate to your organization or be a part of your organization. So create a team of people, again, who are invested in your organization and who can help you make those connections with stewardship and who are willing to help you. And I'm not talking about a large amount of their time. What I'm talking about is board members handwriting thank you cards and making phone calls for large donations. That goes a very, very long way towards donor stewardship. Create a donor stewardship policy, which I'll show you in the next slide. And again, Catherine has dropped into the chat. It's a very simple way to follow the who, what, when, where, why of different categories of donors. If it's a major donor, these are the steps we take. If it's a loyal donor, meaning they donate every single month or every single year, this is how we respond to them, so that they are constantly engaged with your organization and wanting to do more. For example, we just received a bequest gift of $150,000 from a couple who had made one single $300 donation to our organization over their lifetime. So you don't know what type of those touch points are going to be effective. And engage year round. We engage with our donors, especially our major and loyal donors, quarterly. Create special touch points for them. Kathy, you can go on to the next slide. So this is very, very tiny, I realize, but again, it's in the chat. This is our donor stewardship policy. So we outline any level or category of donor, and these are mostly private donors, but it can be corporate as well. Define who they are, what the donation is, what actions to take, when to take it, and who's responsible. This helps you make sure that your bases are covered and you're building those relationships for the future. Send them impact reports, newsletters just for donors. And we have an actual special event for our major donors every year that if you make a donation of $5,000 or more, you're invited to a special donor dinner. And that return on that one event from those major donors has more than tripled in the last 5 years, just because of the extra care that we take with those specific major donors. Okay, go on to the next slide, Kathy. So I've spent the better part of the last 5 years, shifting out of those daily, or not daily, oh Lord, those annual fundraising events, multiple events to get to that annual budget, to building long-term community relationships. And it can be just as easy as a conversation over coffee to open those doors. Those doors can open in a number of ways. You don't have to make a formal presentation. Look at who is in your community: churches, local businesses, real estate agents, civic groups. Are there festivals and fairs? And be a part of that. I can't stress enough the importance of being a part of, or having your board and volunteers participating in your Chamber of Commerce networking events and presenting to those events, as well as civic groups like the Rotary Club and Kiwanis Club. Those are going to open a number of doors with you, and you can tell them, this is my immediate need, and this is why I think you can help us with that. And again, it doesn't have to be a straight ask for cash. It can be like, we have an opportunity for you to come in and volunteer. We used to have a board member who was an estate planning attorney, and she did lunch and learns for the community, all about planned giving. And that got people in our doors. We gave them something in return by this information, and then they became engaged in part of our organization. So I think I have a few minutes left. I don't want to go into Joel's time here. I know this has been a lot, and I've talked really fast and thrown a lot of information out at you, but Kathy assures me that these slides are going to be available to you after the presentation, and I am always available if you have any questions. But I want to give you a few examples of our community partnerships so that you can perhaps be thinking about how you could translate this into your own community. All right, Kathy, go on to the next slide. So each one of these will tell you a little bit about the concept, what they have agreed to contribute to us, what we have agreed to contribute to them, and then kind of how the partnership began. The first one is with a local bank, Valor Bank. They've only been around in our community since 2014, and we've been partnering with them since 2018. There are banks in every community. You can reach out to them and ask if they have a giving program, and reach out and ask about volunteerism and do they support nonprofits in the community. This particular bank gives 10% of their annual profits back to local nonprofits. All we have to do is provide opportunities for them to volunteer with us and to follow our own stewardship policies in recognizing them as a partner. Next one. Tabor Cares. So Homes by Tabor is a local home builder. Again, there are home builders in all of our communities, and they have a philanthropic program where they accept applications from nonprofits, and they select 12 a year. We're designated a month, and for our month, we are given $250 for each new home they sell during that month. In return, we provide them volunteer opportunities and follow our donor stewardship guidelines. They are one of our top donors every year. Their entire team volunteers with us quarterly, and weekly their owner volunteers with us by delivering meals. So we are providing them an outlet to build their community, and in return, we are getting a very large donation from them. Next slide. Another one that we all have in our communities are churches, multiple churches. If you have Life Church in your community, I highly recommend reaching out to their life missions pastor for the campus closest to you. They have what are called mission partners, and it's just your basic old-fashioned church outreach program. They are seeking to do good in their community already, and so we provide them an opportunity to volunteer and to engage with our clients. They provide us with volunteers and an annual financial gift, and we just simply have to provide some outcomes to them, how many meals we serve each day. They are our third largest lifetime donor and a top donor every year since 2015. Next one. So this one is brand new. I'm super excited about it. I wish I had enough time to cover all the details, but these are just people in the community who want to host events. A couple of folks in our community had decided that they wanted to have a community event that that benefited a nonprofit organization, but they didn't want it to be like your typical street festival or fair with food trucks and bands and all of that. They wanted to actually put a dinner table in the middle of the road and give the opportunity for neighbors to come together, meet, and sit together and get to know one another, just to have meaningful and genuine conversations. This can be replicated in literally any town of any size in any community. One of the organizers is now on our board of directors. So if you're interested in learning more about how to put together something like a middle of the road dinner, reach out to me and we will get connected, because it's pretty fantastic. The next one is, I believe, the Keller Williams Red Day Run. So realtors in your community are very, very connected. They know pretty much everyone. And so this is their giving day. Keller Williams is Central Oklahoma. They have a 5K run. They support several charities. There are a lot of requirements to be a named charity here, and we have to register race participants, but it's a way for them to honor their founder. So again, this is something that can be replicated in any community, with realtors there who just want to do something to give back to honor someone in their organization. And finally, the last one is the Power of 100. Also very easily replicated in any community, and there are many, many different Power of 100s throughout the United States, but it's just a group of 100 women at least. There could be more. They give $100 quarterly. Any member can nominate a nonprofit, and at their quarterly meeting, they draw 3 nonprofit names out for a 5-minute presentation. The membership votes, and whoever the membership selects wins a $10,000 check that quarter. They do this 4 times a year. This could be easily recreated again in any community with a little bit of support. So I think that's about it for me. I'm going to turn it over. I'm trying not to jump into Joel's time, but here's my contact information, and please feel free to reach out or ask any questions at the end. I'm just thrilled you had me here today.
Thank you, Cristi. Thank you so much for that enlightening conversation. And Catherine, if you'll put, I'll send you Cristi's contact, and if we can throw that in the chat, that would be really helpful. All right, next up, Joel Sekorski. Joel is going to talk about his pop-up kitchen and all of the amazing and creative things he's doing. So Joel, the floor is now yours.
Are you sure you're ready for that? I don't know if anyone is. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today and talk about all the wonderful things that we're doing. Thank you, Cristi, for a wonderfully detailed presentation. You took the heat off of me for a lot of the detail that I'm lacking. So I thank you for that. My objective today is to tell you how to start off with fundraising. If you don't know where to start, you don't know where to begin, and then wrap up by telling you where we took those ideas and how we ended up. Again, my name is Joel Sekorski. I'm the Director of Services for the Elderly for the City of Torrington, Connecticut. That's in the northwest corner of Connecticut. We have a population of about 36,000 people, and we are the largest town in a very rural area with 18 towns, and my program area covers 745 square miles. So we do a lot of different things. We're very diverse in what people want and what they need. So we try to carry that over into our fundraising. Again, we're going to try to identify strengths and weaknesses. Next slide, if you could. And then the next one again. Awesome. So again, we're going to talk about objectives and this fundraising opportunity that comes up in everyone's area and how we're going to get to those things. Next slide. I always start with understanding your target audience. Identify your staff and your facility, their strengths and their weaknesses. So that's what we're going to do. I looked at our building, what we were capable of doing, how many people we could put in here. What do people want? What is a reasonable price that people in my area can afford? What about don't overcharge? What about don't undercharge? How do you decipher these things? Well, we did that by looking at what our people in our area were spending their money on. What do they like to do? Where do they go? Do they go to Dunkin' Donuts when they leave our senior center? Do they hang out on the weekends? Do they go out to the 99 restaurant? Or do they go out to more expensive restaurants? So what do they want outside of our Title III programming and our congregate lunch? What do they want? Do they want exercise programs and then a healthy option, or do they just want to eat, sweets and different things? So that's what we tried to do here. We looked and we understand their spending habits, and we try to offer them a value. Next slide, please. The next thing we would do, next slide again, sorry. The next thing we would do is create a budget and that will perpetuate itself. So we wrote a couple of small grants. We got some startup funds. And when we determined what we wanted our price point to be, we started to sketch out some ideas. We looked into our staff's ability and our kitchen's ability, our space, and all the things we just talked about. And we thought, okay, what are we going to charge? What are we going to offer? How are we going to do this? How can we create a value and have that sustainability with minimum risk with proper planning? So what I mean by minimum risk is if you can fund the whole event prior to getting into the event, you can then maximize your profit. You don't have to worry about weather. You don't have to worry about spoilage. You don't have to worry about fees for permitting or different things if you're holding raffles. So you look into sponsors to get you going with that. You look to the grants that I told you about, and you try to have a fundraising account. And if you don't have a fundraising account, you hold a fundraiser to start with a fundraising account. Next slide. The next thing we tried to do with all of these ideas is create a benefit for participation. This is kind of a value engineering. If the market says it's $20 to go out to lunch, we try to do something that charges only $10 or $15. We try to create a buzz here at the Senior Center. In the past, we've allowed events to sell out. Instead of trying to make that extra $100, we put a cap on our tickets. It makes the tickets desirable. Different things that when people feel that they missed out or if they have to get in line to get it, we found here in Connecticut that creates a buzz and it makes people want to come to the event and hang out, and they don't ever want to miss it. Also, at our events, we like to do unadvertised surprises. So if we have a menu and we're doing an advanced ticket sales, or if we have a game that we're playing, like a bingo game or a Geronimo bingo game or any of our events, we try to add surprises that are not advertised so that when people come, all of a sudden they're even more surprised, and it creates that buzz. It makes people say to themselves, wow, I'm so glad I came today. This was a blast. So they never know what's going to happen until it happens. So I like to have that surprise element in all of our events. Add additional things, put additional menu items. I also like to expand those partnerships and giveaways, let them bring their materials from their places. It helps us with funding, and they can either buy entertainment for the events, or they can supply gift cards, or they can supply prizes. All of these things to help bring in your partners and have them feel engaged with it creates a buzz in the community. And then one facility is coming down the Senior Center all the time, and the other ones feel like they're missing out, and it perpetuates the type of fundraising that you want to do. Next slide. I always say stick to what works. This is my chocolate chip cookies and clam chowder theory. If you know what's going to sell in your community for a fundraiser, you should do that. If people love quilts and you have an active quilting group, they can make your quilts, and then you do your raffle and people look forward to the next one. For us, it's all about food around here. So we like to stick to what works. In addition to that, when we sell the things that everybody wants, we try to squeeze in different things to give them a new experience. We try to add healthy items. We try to add in something that they've never had before. You know your people, you know your area. Some items are just a home run. You need to exploit that, and you need to go with that item. But in turn, when you serve that amazing sandwich that's regionally appropriate for you, you want to slip something in there like a healthy wheat berry salad, or put something else on the menu that somebody never had the opportunity to try before, and you're going to give them that opportunity now. And again, that creates that buzz. It creates that, did you see what they did this time, kind of thing. So when you do that, everybody leaves again from your event not only feeling that they have a value, but they don't want to miss the next one. Next slide, please. Cristi really did a great job on acknowledging this. You have to acknowledge your partners publicly. I loved her talk about sending handwritten notes and sending thank you notes right away, having someone reach right out to them when they've given something to you that you didn't expect. Even if you expected it, you want to make sure that you acknowledge it. Like she said, there's some people that have given one time in their life, and then you end up getting a large endowment from them in the future, or there's somebody that gives every month just a little bit, but you don't know what a lot of money is to someone. So we try to treat everybody equally and acknowledge them. When our partners are publicly, we do thank you notes, we do newsletter articles. At the holidays, we'll make a compilation of all the things that we used their dollars and their partnerships with, and we will do a pictorial and send it out to them in a thank you note. That works really, really well. We have signage at all of our events. When someone is supporting that event, we make sure that it's made public, and we announce it 1 or 2 times that they're the ones that supplied those prizes or those things. We try to get the newspaper there whenever possible. We try to get local TV stations for big events. So all of those things come down to acknowledging your partners publicly, and acknowledging your donors publicly, acknowledging your sponsors publicly. And then whenever you can, acknowledge your volunteers and all the people that made that event possible as well. Next slide, please. Let's take a quick look through my slideshow. These are things that we've taken all of these ideas: identifying your staff and facility strengths and weaknesses, understanding your target audience, creating a budget that perpetuates itself and allows for growth, creating the benefit for participation, sticking to what works, and always acknowledging your partners. And see what we did here at the Sullivan Senior Center and the Elderly Nutrition Program, and how we put that into play on sometimes a daily, a weekly, a monthly, and a yearly basis. Next slide, please. We started most of these programs coming out of COVID with a small grant that we wrote to bring people back into the senior centers. So in the days of the lockdowns, we had an empty building. It was strange to come to such a vibrant place every day and have nobody be here. So like everyone else in our state and all around the country, we were trying to figure out ways to bring people back in, and not just the people that we used to have, but try to appeal to a new target audience, try to get people to come down and check us out for the first time. Next slide. And then switch it again. What we decided to do, and here's a nice picture of myself and our chef. We had dueling rolling pins. If you look in the picture there, mine was larger than hers, so we took a picture of that. We decided that food is a great equalizer. People have to eat. Everybody goes out to dinner. People were ready to come back in. We had built up the public's trust here at the Senior Center over time and during the pandemic, so people were starting to come here. So we decided to create pop-up kitchen. The beauty of the pop-up kitchen, next slide, please, is that it's multi-layered. We did several different things. We started with pop-up cafes, which those were 50 tickets only, and you had to buy in advance so that we would minimize our risk, things I've talked about, and we would know exactly how much food to buy, and we'd be able to keep our budget going forward and perpetuate it. Next slide. We added a pop-up bakery. We do this very often, twice a week, as a matter of fact. And that is an offering to bring people together, to have them come and socialize. We have music on in the morning. We have a free coffee bar. So instead of going to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, you can come here to the pop-up bakery, and we advertise that's available every Thursday and Friday of every week. Next slide, please. And then we also have some CSA shares. So we did a farm to pantry canning thing, which has a lot of different layers to it. There's a lot of questions on canning, what you can do, and I'll get into that a little bit down the line when we go into the farm to pantry canning a little bit more. Next slide, please. First up, next slide, is the pop-up cafe. This is outside of our Title III congregate program. We did this on our own. We hold a Title III, we hold a Class 3 food service license, so we can work as a regular kitchen here. We have biannual inspections. The health department comes in and we work closely with our health department. We have adequate refrigeration and an adequate kitchen to do so. So we did this. We went out shopping to purveyors. We also use major purveyors like Cisco and Thurston Foods and things of that nature that we all have. And we can order in the proper foods and then cook them here. We are also all Serve Safe certified in our kitchen. Next slide, please. We tried to, in the initial pop-ups, we tried to focus on seasonal ingredients. Again, we have a CSA share that we were gifted a certain amount of money from a local organization. We can order fresh produce anytime during the week seasonally. So we tried to capitalize on fresh salads and different items during this. We did a salad bar. We did a couple other things. So we focused on what we could buy seasonally. Again, only 50 tickets. We wanted to sell out. Next slide, please. Offering these unique experiences, we did what I was saying before. We added surprises. So unbeknownst to anyone, when they walked in the door, we had a massive fruit tray set up. So they walked in the door and all of a sudden you were excited. Before you even sat down to eat, you had a beautiful plate of fruit and nobody expected it to happen. And people are talking about how amazing it is. Again, you want to raise that excitement level and make people just not want to miss the next event. We also had sponsors of a musician come in one time. We did the salad bar. We did a seafood spectacular where we had clam chowder and seafood salad. We did a personal pan meatloaf with macaroni and cheese, and we did a French dip in-house with a house salad and homemade chips, and all of those sold out. I think we had a cancellation on one or two of them, so we didn't actually sell out, but we made what we wanted to do, and we were very successful with that. Next slide, please. Over those 4 pop-ups, we were able to serve 200 plus meals. And we had, I believe, 75 or 80 people come in, some of which became regular congregate diners and started to come to our senior center for the first time. So it accomplished every goal that we set out to do with these pop-up cafes. Next slide, please. I'm not sure if it's frozen or there we go. We'll go to the next one. Dead air, bad radio. Sorry about that, guys. So after our 4 initial pop-up cafes, we decided in the wintertime to minimize our risk. In New England, we could get a snowstorm and they're not even predicting it in 2 days. So I didn't want to risk a whole bunch of money on a giant meal. So we came up with another concept called Bowl and a Roll. And we held 6 of these events where you didn't need to have an advance ticket and sale. You just showed up on a Friday afternoon and we publicized what soup it was going to be that week. And we built so much trust that I was even able to go back to some of my deli roots when I was younger and made matzo ball soup, and we sold out of that this year. So it's been very successful. We had a minimal risk. The ingredients were not high, and we've yielded a constant revenue stream all throughout the winter without putting out a huge monetary risk. Next slide then. So as I mentioned briefly, the novelty and timing of these events drew in new members. They built trust and they became regular congregate diners. The format of these pop-up cafes, they merged the quality of upscale food and restaurants with the social benefits of congregate dining. And it's been extremely popular, and we've sold out these events, and I believe we're going to continue to sell out these events. Next slide, please. The pop-up bakery, I mentioned this just briefly earlier. We do this every Thursday and Friday. All of our items are baked in-house during that week. We do anything from muffins to breads to cookies to tarts to pies, anything that we can think of. And again, the goal of this is to get people into the senior center, to have them not spend as much money at a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or a coffee shop where a muffin might be $3.50 and a coffee is $4 or $5. We have a coffee bar, and we do this at just above cost so we can sustain ourselves. Again, we hold a class 3 food license, so this is all something that we can do. We keep our recipes in a binder. Everything that we make is documented, and we keep a list of what we have and what we sold. Next slide, please. This is just a picture. The next several are just some pictures, so we can go through those a little bit quicker. We bought that case, which was very reasonable, online at a web restaurant store to market our stuff in. We do all the signage in-house. Next slide, please. You can see some of the things that we make. We try to get as creative as we can. We try to bake with a retail eye and offer all different levels of pricing. So if you look at the smaller muffins are $1, the bigger muffins are $2. We sell whole breads, we sell sliced breads, all kinds of different things. Next slide, please. And the next slide, please. We've also dabbled into whole breads and baking with some yeast. Those are some of the boules that we made last fall. And at St. Patrick's Day, I think we sold over 30 Irish soda breads. So people will buy just about anything if you give them a value and you build up their trust. Next slide, please. Now for the good news. Over the last 6 weeks alone, we've gotten $600 profit just off of our pop-up bakery. We price it, like I said, very appropriately. It's not super cheap, but it's much cheaper than you could even get in the grocery store. So we've sold hundreds of muffins at this point, and cookies and cake slices, and we don't foresee it going away anytime soon. Next slide. In addition to that, when we have our CSA share, we try to use the fresh and seasonal things. Last spring, we were using the blueberries, we were using strawberries, we were using apples in the fall. So we try to also partner all this into our CSA shares. Next slide, please. And one more. There we go. And here's a couple of our members just sitting down enjoying. The biggest key to this is, even if we didn't make a dime for the fundraising, I believe it's worth all the effort. Our members love it. It brings in people. It creates that buzz that we talked about, and they hang out with their friends, and they can stay here, and they don't have to go out, and they don't have to drain their pockets on going out to other places. Do our people still go out? Yes, they absolutely do. But when they make new friends here at the Senior Center, they've got a whole new group to go out with and enjoy their time out in the evenings and at the different restaurants that are in the area. Next slide. This is the last piece. It's probably the most complicated. Myself, I'm a chef, and I have been trained to do lots of different things. We have a cottage license type model to go along with our food service class 3 license. So on this part of the canning, it can be different in every state that you go to. Right now, if we were to can, we have to keep everything cold. It has to be labeled appropriately in the state of Connecticut with all the ingredients and the date and the name where it was produced. and it cannot be shelf stable until I finish my program of acids and pH certification, which was online for the state of Connecticut. I have not yet gotten to do that. In addition, we save all the recipes in a binder, and I have a HACCP plan for the canning. But I will say, when I get it all done, it's going to be well worth it. This program, next slide, please. This program has really been great. We tend to sell out before the stuff even hits the shelf. So we just need to make sure that when someone takes it home, that they know they have to refrigerate it, and this isn't ready to be sitting on their shelf at this point. It's all pretty much ready to sit on their shelf, but since I don't have a certification, I have to make sure that we explain it to everybody and keep it cold. We've also done jellies and jams. Next slide, please. We did hot sauces. So all we really do is buy all of the materials. We keep them here at the center. Everything is sterilized. You follow proper canning procedure, and we make all of the labels here ourselves in-house, so we don't have to buy hundreds and hundreds of labels. You can see some of our hot sauce right there that we made. Next slide, please. We made relishes last year. Next slide. And again, just to reiterate, we were able to purchase all the initial supplies of canning jars with a grant. A lot of the ingredients to get it going. The self-sustaining model works for this. We have the income that we've earned to reinvest in new supplies. And by December of last year, we had sold out of everything that we had preserved at the time that was eligible to be sold. Next slide. We've got a lot of plans to generate excitement for the rest of this year beyond these grants, and we want to provide an amazing foundation for us to build on. The center is filling back up again. We're busy almost every day here. I attribute that a lot to putting the people back in the seats by the extra work that our staff has bought in to do. We have great plans for the future, and we're looking forward to just keeping these programs going and adding everything we can do. The last thing I'd like to add to this is don't be afraid to bundle lots of things into any idea you have. It seems like we're always asking for money here anyway. We're always fundraising for all of our programs. Here at the Sullivan Senior Center, we have 5 different grants that we have commitments to fundraise for all of them. It's to our experience that you go big, you win big. When we have exciting events coming up and we do different things, we plan for every program to be involved. We plan for every layer of that event to be successful. So we have an antiques appraisal coming up, for example, where we're going to have our kitchen open, the antiques appraisal, a tag sale, local crafters, our thrift shop will be open, and we're going to be doing a raffle and a bake sale and everything else that you can think of all at the same time. So if you go big, you win big. Fundraising is part of the future for any senior center or any social service program. The money is just not out there backing us up. So if we want to be successful, we're going to have to do it ourselves. That pretty much concludes my slideshow. I'm very thankful to the ACL and Kathy for putting their faith in our programming to display it out there for all of you guys. And I hope you enjoyed our content. Have a great afternoon.
All right. Thanks, Joel. That was amazing. You guys do so much. So I just want to thank Joel and Cristi for such an informative presentation. I feel like we could spend hours talking about this. So I know we had hoped to have time for questions. So let me get Joel's name up. Catherine, if you can drop the emails for Cristi, myself, and Joel into the chat box. What I'd recommend, if you have a question, why don't you just email, of course you can email me, but if you'd like to go ahead and reach out to Joel and Cristi directly, I'm sure they would love the conversation. On behalf of ACL, I just want to say thank you to Joel and Cristi again, and thank you to everyone for giving us an hour of your afternoon today to talk about such an important topic, and that is fundraising and how we can address and be creative in this arena. So again, thank you, and I hope you have a great afternoon.